I came here on the 29th of June, 1920.
I was born in Poland. World War I was going on in 1913. So my mother had me, which was an infant just born in 1913. Jack was born in 1911, and Miriam was born in 1909, 2 years apart. My father had left for the States just before the war broke out. I remember coming over in the boat. We were in steerage. You know what steerage is? Right down the bottom of the boat. We were so used to being hungry. Jack and I used to get up, and we'd go and get some herring. They had big barrels of herring and bread. Put it under the pillow to be sure that we had enough to eat.
Joe and I both decided that we don't want to go hungry again, so when we land, if there isn't enough food, we want to carry the food with us. So we took the pillows and loaded them with food. So Joe and I came off of the ship with a pillowcase full of food. If I were to tell you about my youth, I would probably have to say very darn lucky.
We had a mother who was very good to us, who loved us, and we loved her.
My mother? I don't know of a stronger woman than my mother. She was absolutely the epitome of strength.
We learned, in my view, what in more sophisticated, elegant language is called values, probably the basic values of Western civilization. What our world life, or at least Western world life, is based on are values: integrity, honesty, decency, respect, generosity, and we saw all those at home.
We may not have had money, but we sure had loving parents, which is worth much more than money.
When you have three brothers get along the way we did, it had to come from the family. Oh, here's something that's really good to make him look good anyway.
Well,
You.
Well, that would be difficult.
I got a job with a Falstaff soap company as a demonstrator, going house to house, demonstrating. But I needed a car. So Jack had a convertible, a Chevrolet convertible. May have been 1901 or something, I don't know. What the hell was it, Jack?
It was about 1920 something.
1920, with the narrow wheels and the spoke wheel, no top, torn. And I said, I need a car. He says, take my car. So I owe you one.
You don't owe me nothing.
Well, do you remember on that car, it had a roof. It had a convertible roof, plastic of some kind. It leaked. It leaked. So one day, in the rain, I go to look for my raincoat. I was a little boy, and I had a little raincoat. I couldn't find my raincoat. In comes the car to the driveway. Pinned to the top of that car with safety pins is my raincoat. And I'm still angry about it. Are you kidding?
Oh, forgive me.
No, I think Jack did it. I don't know if you did it or Jack did it.
I want to take you back to 1933. But Uncle Jack is opening up a little auto parts store. So I went to work for him for $10 a week. And one thing I learned was the automotive parts business. The later part of 1939, the early part of 1940, my uncle says, how would you like to buy the store? And I said, well, Uncle Jack, you don't have a following. All you've got is fixtures, parts that are hard to sell. What do you want for it? He says, see how much you can raise. Okay. I get Joe and Mort together. And I said, boys, we've got a chance to buy Uncle Jake's store. How much can we raise? The three of us put together $900. And that was the beginning of what it was going to be, Mantel Brothers. It was profitable from the day it started.
The three of us were the whole company, and here's how the name Premier was developed. My Uncle Conrad agreed to give us some inventory to sell on a line of credit, which means we could pay him a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever. But anyway, he shipped his stuff, if you remember, in beautiful yellow and blue boxes with his trade name on it, and his trade name was Premier. So either Jack or Joe, I forgot who, called my Uncle Conrad. I'm changing the story a little bit. Called my Uncle Conrad and said, you know what, Uncle Conrad, would you mind if we called ourselves Premier Automotive Supply Company, because then we would have our own boxes with our own brand name? To which he said yes. Actually, I did all the work, and these guys spent all the money. They took all the money. That's the macro title of our adventure together. In fact, we took made a lot of bold moves in our career, mainly sparked by Joe, almost all of whom worked.
When you went into a car dealer or to a garage, he had bolts and nuts that were rusty and dirty and black. Well, we corrected that in the bolt business. We were the first ones to come out with a plated bolt that wouldn't rust. The thing we did was produce better products, more expensive, but a better product. We produced bolts and nuts that were the strongest bolts and nuts they could buy.
There was nothing about the business that I didn't like. But there were some things I liked a hell of a lot more, okay? And to hire and train salesmen. Joe did the same thing, and Mort, who was probably the most organized mind of any person I'd ever met, fell into running the inside.
We found that if you can provide parts, ideas, but say parts, to customers that they genuinely have trouble finding, that they will pay a fair price. So we learned basic philosophy. If you find a need and fill it, you have something that will lead to growth. The reason I think we did so well is because we have different skills. I think we have certain attributes in common, but I think we are really three very different people, and so we divided up running Premier based on our natural areas of interest.
I tell you, the formula for success is to have two smart brothers. I got two smart brothers.
When we were building our business, Premier Industrial Corporation, started out as Premier Automotive Supply Company, we really did it to we started to make a living. We just wanted to be able to pay our bills. And as our business grew, we had more money than we really needed. That's when we formed a foundation.
My mother had an expression. If you give a penny to charity, you'll get $1 in return. No, I'm not superstitious, but the truth is, the more we gave away, the more we made.
The lesson was to share your resources with those who are needy. And generous is relative. If you got $10, giving $5 away is very generous. If you've got $1 million, giving $5 away is not generous. So generosity is a function of your capability.
We didn't make money for the sake of money. We made money so that we could redistribute it.
We became interested in certain causes where we felt, in addition to money, we had experience and competence to offer. The vast bulk of our resources and our minds are devoted to only a few causes where we're trying to change the world. Leadership has been the central thrust of our activity. We felt one of the ways to make a difference was improve the quality of education. And we chose to do that by turning out leaders who would change the reality, not us change the reality. So early on, we chose education, and then our cut into education was investing in people. Finding people who wanted to give their lives, who had passion in addition to intelligence and everything else, had passion and saw this as an opportunity for personal fulfillment, and we backed them. Over the years, we've invested very heavily relative to our capacity, very heavily in efforts to strengthen the leadership in the nonprofit organizations. When we wanted to really formalize this, and this now is in the 80s, we put a group together in Cleveland and planned out what eventually became this Mandel Center for Nonprofit Organizations at Case Western Reserve University. It focuses on helping existing professionals and potential professional workers in the nonprofit area to learn the skills and also to become familiar with the great ideas in leadership and especially in the nonprofit sector. We're Jewish, and we're concerned about the viability and the health and the vigor of the Jewish community going forward. We've lasted 3,000 years as a religious denomination. So if you ask me, I want another 3,000 years. And what can we do to make that possible in a way that gives meaning to it, where understanding the Jewish tradition and the history and Jewish values can be an enriching experience.
It is impossible to appreciate a beautiful picture with your eyes closed. And that's the way I look at Jewish education and Jewish survival. If you know Judaism, you know what a beautiful picture it is and what we have given to this world. But if you don't study it and you don't know it, you miss it.
We see strengthening Israel, helping it be a stronger democratic state, more viable state, and a stronger democratic Jewish state as an important driver for us. So it's one of our major thrusts. Probably a third of our grant distribution goes to Israel. We're doing training for the Ministry of Education. We're training high potential, mid-career people, average age 39, for more senior positions in the Ministry of Education. One of them, a woman I would say in her 50s, stood up and said, "I'm the head of the Southern District. And for X years, I think she said 17, but something like that, years, I thought my job was to increase to improve the absorption, to make it easier for immigrants to get into the larger society." She says, after taking the Mandel course, which is what it came to be called, I realize I have a different job. I realize my job is to build a nation. And I know, I leaned over to this guy who was with me, and I said, it never has to get any better than this. But to have a dream and to believe that the dream can be realized, that's what we did for them. As the world changes, our programs will have to change, and as we understand problems more clearly, our solutions may change. But the hope is that the need for enlightened, informed, passionate leadership, the hope is that that's a theme that will not change, that will not go away.
I'm proud of what the foundation has been doing. To tell you that I'm happy that it's running very smooth, absolutely.
What we are doing is hoping that the succeeding generations take full advantage of what we're trying to do. That's my big hope, and I think we're going to succeed.
Our whole thrust is to enlarge the number of first-class people who are trying to improve the human condition, who are trying to change lives. That's the legacy. We want trustees and staff who understand where Jack, Joe, and Mort are coming from, and will have fidelity to that understanding. And we want a management team that is able to operate, execute at a high level of excellence, both in terms of our program and the management, so that we stay strong as the Mandel Foundation stays strong as an entity, as an institution. And we've got a good shot at it. In my view, we're in pretty good shape. In fact, we're in very good shape.
We're still kids. My sister is 97. My brother Jack is 95. He thinks he's 90, but he don't believe me. He's 95. I'm 93. Mort is 42. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I keep on forgetting. I don't know what it is. He's 85. And we're lucky we're still here.
I think the three of us are very, very rare. I don't know of any three brothers that can get along the way we have gotten along.
I think each of my two brothers and I would say the other two we're all best friends.
I love them. That's all I want to say to them. And that applies to my sister too.
The legacy of Joe Mandel is what what I'm leaving behind. It's not money, it's family, and what good did I do with my money? That is my legacy. I didn't squander it. I didn't lose it. I hope that the money we've given away has helped the world and is helping the world.
I will not die unhappy. I will not die unhappy because as a result of my having been here, some people are better off.
The Mandel name, I hope, carries with it certain kinds of connotations. We care. We tried. We divided our assets among our own personal needs and needs of the world. My cup runneth over, in my view, not because of my bank account, but because how I feel about myself when I look in the mirror. That's why I say my cup runneth over.